Hey, welcome to the October 24th Thursday chat. We have a treat. Lou Wolf is here and is going to, I thought we had such a good reaction to Len talk that we should seize the opportunity and ask Lou to come and give a continuation of what happened. So he's here, and I've asked him to give a brief history under his administration and then some comments as to where he thinks HSL is going in the future. And if we have time, he has limited time today, we'll take questions. Lou was president from 2009 to 2013 and CEO, I'm not sure I know the difference, from 2013 to 2023. And he was our neighbor in that little house, not so little, right behind the guest house. And we used to see him and his wife regularly at events. But for a lot of you who've come since, and don't know him, you're in for a treat. So go ahead, Lou.
Thanks, Jerry. And you also had a great view of us from your balcony, so I would every once in a while. So thank you. And I actually am not busy at 4 o'clock now, so there is a little more flexibility. So actually there was a big difference between being the president and being the CEO. In that I came in 2009. When I came, Len Fishman was still here. So we actually had 3 years, a little more than 3 years of overlap. And in 2009, I had spent the last 15 years in leadership in the Boston hospital world. I was the chief operating officer at New England Baptist Hospital for 8 years, with some work down at Beth Israel Deaconess, part of the same network. And then I was at the North Shore Medical Center for 7 years as the chief operating officer there. So had great experience in both what was then the care group system of Beth Israel Deaconess and the partner system, which North Shore was part of. So got a very good inside look at both of those networks as they were trying to form. So in 2009, the board of Hebrew Senior Life decided that the organization had grown quite a bit, become more complex, and that it was a job that they felt, Len's job was the job they felt like should be divided into 2 jobs. And Len continued to be the chief executive officer. He had been the president and chief executive officer, and he continued to be the chief executive officer, with me reporting to him and having all operations, and also Caitlin Quinn, the chief development officer, and Lou Lipsitz, research. And Len was continuing to be the visionary that I'm sure you appreciated when Len spoke to you, because Len was an amazing kind of aging visionary who really, through his prior experience, had a great sense of where aging care should go, and people being more independent and providing people the opportunities, a place like Newbridge. So when I came to Hebrew Senior Life, it had become more complex over time, but it was far less complex than it is now. Mm-hmm. So at that time, it was really Roslindale, which for those of you who aren't familiar with that, Roslindale is primarily a long-term care facility with also short-term rehab. It's a 60-year-old building right near the Faulkner, which is in Jamaica Plain, but pretty much across the street. And besides Roslindale, which had at the time over 600 beds of long-term care plus short-term rehab, we had 3 affordable housing communities in Brookline, Revere, and Randolph. Orchard Cove had been built maybe 25 years before that as the organization's first foray into market rate continuing care retirement community. Little bit of home and community-based services. We had started a certified home care agency, and the research and teaching, which is, for those who don't know, very, very important part of what we do. Harvard Medical School teaching organization. And it's something that really attracted me here. Now about $100 million in National Institute of Health and National Institute of Aging research. We teach in about 800 students a year in various geriatric fields. So, and at that time in 2009, Newbridge was about to open. I think independent living folks had moved in some. Long-term care and assisted living were still not open yet. And all the interviewing that was done for me pretty much was on the Newbridge campus, which was very smart of them because, as you all know, it is extraordinary. And so they definitely put their best foot forward. I went around and looked at everything else too, but they kept saying, come to Newbridge, we'll do the interviewing there. So I would say that when I came, there were two primary focus areas that have occurred over the last 15 years. One was very early on, we did a lot of planning and really, and that's when Len was still here, thinking about, what is the direction of our society as far as people getting older, and what can we do to best fulfill our mission, which we started articulating as redefining the experience of aging, which sounds extraordinarily lofty and something that maybe some organizations would say, but they really didn't mean. But we as an organization are committed to that, and we are a leader nationally. And there's no one nationally who does everything we do as comprehensively as we do. And it's a real commitment to lead the field of aging. And our research and our teaching primarily, does that worldwide. But as we looked at the field, we recognized that the baby boomer population was coming. It's now here because the baby boomer population started in 1964. So those people that were then 63 and we said are coming are now at the leading edge, 78, and are starting to arrive. So we knew that large population was coming. We also know from our research that the incidence of dementia not only was growing because there were more older people, but actually the incidence of dementia amongst many people who are 60 and above was actually increasing, primarily due to everything else that's hurting our society, which is overweight, diabetes, high-fat diets, fast food, all that stuff. So there's actually, it was projected that the amount of dementia that we would have in our society as time goes on would be increasing quite dramatically. Also, we knew there was an affordability issue evolving, and you hear all the time that the vast percentage of people in the United States have like zero savings. So that was becoming an increasing problem. Also, I would say the desire to age in place was growing, and increasingly it was recognized that the care for older adults was incredibly fragmented. That so many people, particularly people with dementia, but the care, whether it's long-term care, independent living, assisted living, a lot of the choices before the growth of continuing care retirement communities was very fragmented, and you'd have to move here and there, independent here, assisted there, then long-term care, and it was incredibly disruptive. So some of the goals we had going out of that process, which was probably 12 or 13 years ago, was to expand our ability to care for more people, to expand the number of services we offered, to make a more smooth continuum so people could come to Hebrew Senior Life and have a variety of services and connected, so we could provide people with that connected continuum. And a great focus increasingly, even though we were just opening Newbridge at the time, more of a focus on underserved populations. Because we recognize that Orchard Cove, Newbridge, places like that are important and really needy for people who have means, but the people that don't have means or are underserved in some other way had very few choices and very few good choices. So whether it was economically underserved and disadvantaged, or whether it was people with more acute illnesses, or whether it was an aging LGBTQ population, which much of society still wasn't treating as they should. And many peers of an aging LGBTQ population didn't have as much acceptance amongst their peers as younger people do now. So we really decided to focus on much of our growth on the more underserved population. And that was not only to serve the population better and a more needy population, but it was also to be as good of a partner as we could possibly be to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the federal government, because we know that these Medicaid, Medicare are in a lot of ways close to bankrupting the country and its resources. When I first came here, I think Mass Health, which is Massachusetts Medicaid, was like 25% of the state budget, and now it's 43%. 43% of the state budget is Mass Health. 57% is highway, schools, police, fire, and probably 100 other things. So it's a problem. So the more we could care for people in affordable housing, the more we could provide home and community-based services. We're also being a good partner for the state. And that has led to a vast increase in our focus on affordable housing. We've expanded Brookline. We're expanding Brookline. We expanded Fireman. We opened up a community in Upham's Corner in Dorchester, which is the roots of our organization. 120 years ago, we started in Dorchester. And 60% of our employees are people of color, and we've always valued our employees. It's an incredibly important part of what we do. So demonstrating to our staff that we care for their community as well as a Jewish faith-based community was considered to be very important to us. We developed the Wolk Center, which is our Center for Memory Health, because of our understanding of the growth of dementia and the fragmented nature of that care. We have three other affordable housing sites that we're looking at, building one in Stoughton. We're looking at something in Worcester. We're looking at the Rosendale campus, possibly. So we opened Upham's Corner in Dorchester probably 9 months ago. We had, I think it's 46 apartments, something like that. We had almost 1,000 applications. I mean, that shows you the extraordinary need for affordable housing for older adults particularly. And we had an opening a couple of weeks ago, and there were residents speaking. And they were not only, as you might, talk about how wonderful the apartment is and how wonderful the services are, but they were going on and on about how amazing it was to have a trash room and how amazing it was to have a laundry facility that worked. I mean, you really recognize the value that we're bringing when you hear about the appreciation for things that others would consider just basic things that you take for granted, really. We've also tremendously expanded our home and community-based services. We've developed over that time period our private care services to the underserved. We initially were doing private care ourselves, and now working more collaboration with Houseworks. We developed the hospice program. We developed a palliative care program, community palliative care program. We developed our physical therapy program in people's homes. So dramatically increased our home and community-based services. So it's been quite an expansion effort. And we've dramatically, I think when I first came here, we were caring for maybe 18 or 1900 people on a daily basis. And now it's I think 3,500. So we've pretty much doubled the number of people we care for. The other thing that I would say has been a dramatic change, something that was a real focus on my part, was that when I came, we were a very siloed organization. Things happened at Jack Satterhouse, Simon C. Fireman, Rosendale, and they were fairly independent efforts. There were some shared services, but they were really very independent as far as how they did a lot of their work, and culturally, as far as how the organizations operated, there were just different. You could feel it. There were different philosophies as far as customer service or just how people treated each other. And there were some entities where people were incredibly kind and nice to each other. And there were other ones I was experiencing where the employees that worked there were like nasty to each other. It was a totally different feeling. And I had grown up, in the Beth Israel Deaconess Care Group system and in the partner system. I was part of the merger that took place in North Shore Medical Center between Salem Hospital and Union Hospital. I experienced the Beth Israel Hospital and the New England Deaconess Hospital merger when I was at the Baptist. So I had lived through a number of, and also Boston Medical Center when BQ merged with City Hospital. So a lot of experiences of organizations with different cultures. And we have done a lot of work around culture, and something we developed 11 years ago, 12 years ago, culture beliefs amongst our organization that a lot of times organizations create those types of things and they put them on the wall somewhere and people forget about it. And 3 years later, they do something else. And this has been something that we have continually talked about and lived with. And the number of times people make presentations or they talk about some project and they talk about different cultural beliefs about respect and about knowing why, like whenever you tell people things to make sure they know why you're making a decision, just a variety of things. And we've also developed a lot more central services. We have in-house legal now, we have in-house compliance now, we have an in-house planning function. So, and a lot of the other people, HR, finance, they're much more report up through a central core than they do in their community. So I think we've become much more of a single organization than we were before, which is very, I think, fulfilling for people. People feel like they're part of something even more important than they felt when they were at a single place. So I would say those are the big things. As far as future direction, I would say there's a few kind of big things right now that we're looking at. One is, I would say there's no question that we are going to continue our focus in affordable housing with services. It's a huge need in our community, and it also helps people leave their homes to the extent that those people have a home, but it helps them leave their homes and go someplace that's much better for them, and also vacates a home that a young family can move into. And if enough of us do that, then the price of housing for young families can be more manageable. But we have also demonstrated that affordable housing with services is a dramatic improvement in the quality of people's lives, keeps people out of the emergency department, keeps them out of the hospital. So we've gotten a tremendous amount of support from the state for the benefit that we're bringing in that program too. And we're starting to put more of our services in other people's affordable housing in order to give people in other people's affordable housing more of a quality of life experience. I would say we also have to figure out the future of the Roslindale campus, which is a big thing for us. The building is 60 years old. When people call me up and beg me to help them get into either long-term care or short-term rehab, it is usually Newbridge that they want. And Roslindale, they realize the quality of care is just as good, but it's just aesthetically not the same at all. And it really needs to be improved. We need to improve it. But on the other hand, we need to get a commitment from the state that they are willing to continue to support us in that effort. So a lot of work to be done with the state and funders to figure out how do we modernize the Roslindale campus. There's no question that research is something we want to continue to expand. Teaching is something right now we do professionally. We really train nurses, physicians, pharmacists, physical therapists in geriatrics, but more of a focus going forward. We are trying, and we are on the verge, we hope, of getting a big grant for this to do more around training frontline staff, like really enlisting people who are working in McDonald's and or veterans and really exciting them about getting into senior care and becoming CNAs or become resident assistants, like entry level jobs. We already have a lot in HSL to help people who are entry level become higher level people, nurse practitioners and things like that, moving up, RNs, but a big program to try to help really train a lot of people to become entry level CNAs for not only us, but for other people in our industry. So I would say so I don't know that we see anything radically different in the services we're offering, but I think an increasing focus on, the underserved who need more and more people just need a tremendous amount of help. We don't envision doing another Newbridge. Um, it's we think there's a lot of people out there that have built independent living, a lot of people who are building market rate assisted living. We don't think that's where we're needed, but on the more affordable side, that's not where for-profit organizations are focusing their attention, to make their money. So that's where our mission focus can really bring the most good. So I would say that answers the best of my ability initially Jerry's question, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions or anything else people would like to know.
So we have a question, a number of questions coming up. We have one question in the chat from Prue Thorner. Can we have an update on the search for a new HSL CEO?
That is a damn good question. I would love to get it. No. So yes, I can give you an update on that. So when I returned around May 1st, so it's been 6 months as of November 1st, and we haven't started the search yet. When I came back, there was a question of how long would I be willing to do this, and I honestly, expressed my absolute love for this organization, love for the mission, love for the people we serve. And I said that I didn't want in any way for my timetable to be what drove their decision, because I didn't want them to feel rushed because everybody agreed we need to do this right this time. And when I was asked to come back, this sounds schmaltzy, but, I honestly felt like, family calls and you drop everything and you help. And that's the way I feel. So the board has been spending a lot of time soul searching and thinking about what could have been done better, what did they miss and everything. So we now have 2 people on the board who are going to chair the search committee, Harry Bain and Jay Weber. They're in the midst of finalizing the committee, which I'm told will be done by the beginning of next week. I have requested that they complete this by before next summer, and I think they are committed to do that. So I would say we are actually going to start interviewing people. My guess, because we actually have about 9 people who have raised their hand and have heard that there's going to be an opportunity. So even before the search started, there's people who have expressed interest. And I think there are some extremely high quality people, so that the search committee will start interviewing people before another effort is done to really shake all the bushes out there and see what's out there. Because some of these people are interested, but they may be unavailable like 2 months from now. So my guess is we will start interviewing people by the beginning of December, and either there'll be somebody new in place by March 1st, if that first wave of people proves to be fruitful, or May 1st, if it requires, further investigation. So that's what I would say my best guess is right now.
Thank you. So Barbara Nadich.
Welcome back, Lou. My question is very simple. You've outlined the wonderful plans for people of need. Is Newbridge and or Orchard Cove going to suffer from the emphasis being put on the other communities?
Absolutely not. There's no. We are doing. We understand there's a lot of capital needs in Newbridge and all, and I will tell you something. Affordable housing is not a financial sacrifice. There's two ways to finance, and I'll do this very briefly. Historically, there's two ways to finance affordable housing. The way it's done now is basically a break-even proposition. If you get approvals by the state and you get the tax credits you need, because that's the way you do it now, you basically can operate in a way that breaks even and it doesn't draw resources from anything else you're doing. The historic way to do it, the Jack Satterhouse, Simon C. Fireman, Center Communities of Brookline, and possibly one of the other things we're looking at would be a purchase of an existing facility. The way those were financed and the way HUD now reimburses them, they're actually profitable. So if anything, our focus on affordable housing will improve HSL's financial state, and it could only improve what we're able to do at places like Newbridge and Orchard Cove as far as capital expenditures that the community itself, maybe in the short term or periodically, doesn't have the cash flow at that time. So nothing new in the CCRC world, but no, there's no way it will diminish or take away from our commitment to all of you and everyone that lives at Orchard Cove.
Thanks. Charlie Small.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wolf. I'm an almost 3-year resident here. Your talk about affordable housing, that's been a growing need in this country for quite a while, and I think it's a great focus. My curiosity is, I'm sure you're aware, organizations like the JCC and other similar types of community organizations are focusing in more and more on affordable housing. Has there been any consideration, or do you see any coordinated efforts between the not-for-profit organizations like that?
An excellent question. It really is. So in this community, 2 life communities, which used to be Jewish community housing for the elderly, huge focus on affordable housing. Amy Scheckman's the CEO. She's great. It's a great organization. B'nai B'rith Housing is another organization locally. Same thing. They develop affordable housing. It's seniors and families. They don't manage it afterwards, but they develop it. And then there's us. And we, over the years, have had conversations with both of those entities about that same exact thing. Because we have people who are board members or donors of both of 2 of the 3, and they like, can you guys get together? So now I will give you a tangential topic, which tells you why that hasn't happened. Well, one of the reasons is people are board members and they have their own little fiefdom, and there's some of those complications. But the good reason why it hasn't happened. So I actually started my career in consumer packaged goods. I got an MBA. I went to work for Gillette and General Mills for the first 7 years of my life. And if you go to the cereal aisle and you look for cereal, there'll be like 30 cereals that are made by General Mills. And because they, segment the market and they understand that people have different tastes, and the way to optimize their sales is by having choices. So the way affordable housing is financed now is the state does issue tax credits. And there's usually, let's say 7 to 10 available in a given cycle. And they would never give one organization more than one, because there's more applications than there are tax credits. Because we have developed such a good reputation, and Amy has developed such a good reputation, and B'nai B'rith has developed such a good reputation, in any cycle, typically all 3 of us will get one. So we actually can contribute more to the stock of affordable housing by being separate and applying separately. So although there may be some efficiencies of working as one entity more, we're actually doing more good by being separate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine Oppenheimer.
Hi, Lou. I want to welcome you back. I was so
How are
glad
you?
to hear I know it was an effort coming out of retirement. So my question to you is, do you have help? Do you have somebody under you that you can rely on? Because your job has really grown much bigger than when you started here.
Oh, I have amazing help. I mean, I have 10 people who report to me, which I know is quite a bit, but
No, it's not.
it's an extraordinary group. Kim Brooks is our Vice President of Senior Living. Matt reports up to Kim. Aline Rusato at Orchard Cove reports up to Kim. All the affordable housing people report up to Kim. Ernest Mandel is now the Executive Vice President of Healthcare, so all of that reports to him. We have my Chief Financial Officer, Chief Legal Counsel, Chief Compliance. I mean, we have, I think, a remarkable senior leadership team. And we oftentimes will visit, some group of us will go to Mass General, or we'll go to the Brigham, or go to the Baptist for a meeting, or go to the state. And, in the hospital world, people in senior care, people in long-term care, kind of like from their perspective, we're like AAA. We're like it's like, oh, when I came here from North Shore, it's like, oh, you had to go into long-term care to become a CEO, or like, but when we go and we visit people, they are blown away by the quality of our senior leadership team. And that includes the senior leaders. It includes people like Matt and Aline, Stephanie Small. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a remarkable team. So I am not for the wanting of amazing.
I hope you don't burn out. That's okay. You're so enthusiastic. You give us a lot of hope with your enthusiasm.
It's honestly, working for this organization, I consider a blessing. I really do. I know not a lot of people can say that about their jobs, but I've had the opportunity for 9 months to retire and to reflect back at my career, and my, at that time, 14 years here was extraordinarily fulfilling. Not only what we did here, but what we as an organization, a lot of people, some people who are relatively new, when COVID broke out, we, like everybody else in March of 2020, had no idea what we were dealing with, or how to manage this, or how it spread. And everybody at the beginning, like, don't wear masks, because when you touch your face, you're going to spread all kinds of philosophies and wrong things. And we were all washing supermarket bags and everything. And the nursing home industry was the hardest hit. It was a very, very horrible situation in Massachusetts. And the very first community that was outside of the nursing home world that got hit in Massachusetts was the Jack Satter House in Revere, because Revere is a community where people live close together, and it was the first place to really kind of blow up, if you will. And while we were trying to figure out what to do and to care for all the people we cared for, I received a call from the Secretary of Health and Human Services asking, what could we do to help the Commonwealth with the problem in nursing homes? And within 4 weeks, Lou Lipsitz, who's our head of research, and I worked with some outside entities while we were figuring out what to do here, and basically stood up a program which dramatically decreased the amount of COVID in the rest of the Commonwealth. I mean, and we're confident of that, even though one could say, well, by the time you put it in, it was already kind of going down. But we looked at statistics, and nationwide, the biggest predictor of COVID in a nursing home correlated almost perfectly with the COVID outbreak in that community. And they pretty much tracked one for one. And what we saw in Massachusetts is communities where it continued to grow or it's slowed down, and the nursing homes in those communities dropped precipitously. So we have really we're confident that we made a huge difference. So I feel wonderful about not only what we do for those we serve, but how we have contributed to community and society in general in this field. So my enthusiasm is well grounded, and for good reasons.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
we have, seems like one more question in the chat. Will we get a debrief on where they think they went wrong in the former search?
No. I think to a large degree, Steve Landers left for personal reasons. He came here from New Jersey. His family, he had a senior in high school, so his family decided not to move up yet. He was living in the house kind of a few days a week, but he was still going back and forth. So, it didn't click for family reasons, for his distraction. So he left for personal reasons, family reasons, and the family deciding after a year that moving to Boston wasn't the right answer. So a lot of the thinking and the contemplating about what to do next wasn't anything that went wrong with the search that caused him to depart, but it was more, okay, we experienced a different person. Was this the ideal person, and what could we do differently? So I guess I can give you a partial answer. Some of the things that are felt we should do differently. Steve came from New Jersey, and as Rosanna Dana used to say, "What are you doing in New Jersey?" Right? But that's Boston is a very challenging community to break into. It's probably true in a lot of fields, but in the healthcare world, it's a pretty cocky community. And for somebody to come here and to have the influence that you need to have to run this organization with the hospitals, with the state, to be able to go to the Brigham and go to Mass General and talk about how we can help. I mean, I worked in the hospital world for 15 years. So I knew all these people, and I could go to them and say, I know your problems, and this is how we can help you. Like, help me, help you. And a lot of the relationships we developed were things that people, because I was on the Mass Hospital Association board for 7 years, and I know what all these people are going through. So having somebody who is from Boston, who is a healthcare person, is really, really at the top of the list. It wasn't, Steve was a healthcare person, but he had no Boston ties and experience. So that is something I would say is important. I would say Steve also came here really embracing the fact that Hebrew Senior Life has such an amazing reputation that it would be a wonderful platform to not only do its work and help Hebrew Senior Life to thrive, but also as a platform, like, as I said, to really inform the world on how aging could be better pursued and how we could redefine the experience of aging. I think we probably, in looking to recruit somebody, we talk a lot about that desire to, redefine the experience of aging and what an amazing opportunity this is to contribute to that. And I think perhaps we kind of overemphasize that, because I think Steve came thinking, 90% of his job was going to be that. And because we have such an amazing team who he met, that there wasn't the heads down part of the job wasn't as important and wasn't as critical. And no matter how wonderful those 10 people are that report to me, there still is a lot of work managing this organization and all the different priorities and different viewpoints people have. So I think have somebody who is as enthusiastic about running this place as redefining the world of aging is something that I think there's greater focus. And I would say one last thing. Running a complex organization like this, there are always things that are suboptimal, whether it's your accounts receivable system or how you do your payroll. There's always things that you could be better. You could have the latest IT gadgets, you could all that. But because we depend so much on Medicare and Medicaid, really, I mean, I know you folks all pay a substantial amount to live at Newbridge, but when you look at our $300 million of revenue, the vast proportion of it 80% of it is Medicare and Medicaid. And those payers are challenged. So you're always, if you're running an organization like this, if you're running a hospital, you always have things that you know you have to improve, and you say, we're going to do that in 2027. We're going to do that in 2028. You have to prioritize, and you have to be able to accept that and optimize what you have and plan ahead and all. And I think that we probably have to be more transparent about that, and the fact that not only is there an important heads down part of this job, but there's messiness. And, you know, you can't run an organization with 2,600 people and $300 million of revenue with like 20 different services and not have some messiness that you have to deal with. And I think probably when we recruited the last time, we probably made it feel a little bit like everything's perfect, and you know, and there's no issues, and which can happen when you're working hard to accentuate the positives. And so I think there's an understanding we need to also be more transparent about the challenges too.
Great. One last question, Terry Union.
Hello, Terry.
I unmute. I'll do it.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So anyway, it's really nice to, it's nicer when I see you in person, but it's nice to see you here also. And I don't think people know, I mean, you've done some wonderful things with your leadership and what you developed and what you provided. But one of the things you did, you're so open to ideas, was when you were approached to ask about contacting the other communities under Heber Senior Life about the climate issue, and reaching out to those other communities who were not as engaged as we were in the climate change situation and how we deal with that. And at any rate, so because of your help, we were able to reach out to all the communities in HSL, and everybody is up to date on doing what we can in terms of electrical usage, composting, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just really appreciate that.
No.
Made a big difference.
Two things there. One is it is a critically important topic, and one that I absolutely, you know, you look what's happening in Florida with these hurricanes, and I mean, it's so obvious that our world is being threatened. But also, I think the other aspect of what you said, and I try to do this as much as possible. I know we have several staff members too, but one of the things I understand how much you guys have to offer and how much our staff has to offer, and so many good ideas that are out there on how we could always be doing what we do better. So I've always tried to be very open-minded about suggestions like that, and also and you know, all the great ideas that our staff always has. So I'm glad that it has led to something so fruitful, and I'm not as up to date on how that's all evolved since I've been back, but I'm glad to know that. And if that's a topic that you would like, you know, more understanding of the organizational commitment to that, you know, I would suggest that Jerry, probably the other people Jerry could bring in that are more hands-on on that than I am at the moment, or I could get up to speed and come back, whichever you'd prefer.
Well, love to have you come back. So if that's a challenge to have happen,
That'll work.
we'll let it go that way. Thank you very much. You know, we don't want you, you know, you're a good friend and neighbor, and we don't want to lose that contact with you.
Oh, my pleasure. Naomi, did you have a question, or were you just waving goodbye? Okay. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on. We got quite a list of very announcements before we get to Matt. Michael Ross.
Thanks, Jerry. First of all, it's awfully, just want to say it was wonderful hearing from you, Lou. Really wonderful information that you've provided. One of the points you emphasized was the role of employees, and I'm here just to give a very brief update on the Appreciation Fund. The Appreciation Fund is in the midst of its fall campaign. I want to thank everyone who has already given, and that is well over half of our residents. I know that there are still some of you who are taking your checkbooks out. This is the time where we get to say thank you to many, many wonderful employees. It's really important, and I hope that we'll be up as close to 100% participation as we can be. And I'm going to cut my comments off at that point.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. Barbara Nadich.
Hi, everyone. My purpose today is to remind people that we will be having the NIMA elections towards the end of November. For those people who are interested in running, we're going to need a short letter of intent as well as a short bio. And you can send those to me or Paul Blas. The openings are in the cottages, the 3rd and 4th floor of the 4,000 building, the 3,000 building, and the villas. So again, please get your letters of intent and a short bio so that we can start the election process. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Jane Milner.
Hi, a perfect segue because I'm going to continue and share what we are doing here at Newbridge on the environmental front. So our fall annual electronics collection is at hand. Next Tuesday, October 29th from 10 to 11:30, residents and staff can turn in old and/or broken electrical equipment at a table set up in the front of the community center. Fernando Rodriguez and his helpers will be there to accept your now obsolete computer, your dozens of stray electrical cords, your chip monitor, yes, even your electric toothbrush. These items are then transported to Staples, where they are sent to a warehouse to be repurposed. A win for you, a win for Staples, and a win for the environment. Between now and Tuesday, large red bins will be in the areas adjacent to the mailroom in the community center and the cottage clubhouse, where you can drop off your items for Staples. Posted in those areas are lists of all the items Staples will accept. Please note, this list does not include televisions. Call Dort Sr., Fernando, or me if you need assistance getting your no longer useful item to the community building or cottage clubhouse. Using one of the open Jeeps will come help with the pickup of larger items. This is always a hugely successful collection drive, which we are happy to repeat each fall. We come up with lots of broken stuff. We're happy to transport to Staples for a remake. See you on Tuesday. Fernando, you wanted to add a bit.
Fernando, go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. To Mary Jane's point, this will be our 3rd annual electronics take back. So it's a great little thing we do here for you folks. But I just want to, there's certain things that they will not take. Things such as large printers, kitchen appliances, lamps, bulbs, large speakers. They won't take any medical devices, records or record players. But the biggest thing is they will not take any TVs. So please do not bring down any TVs because you will be bringing them back to your home. And the red bins are already there, Mary Jane, by the way. I put them out today.
Yeah,
So
I
those red
saw them.
bins,
Thanks.
get them, throw all
They've
your
got a
stuff in.
label on them and a listing of what Staples will accept. So Fernando's a great partner in this.
Okay, thank
Bring
you.
down your stuff.
Hey, Larissa Levitch.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. It was quite impressive to hear Lou, and I got sort of like all working with my imagination. Sorry, I'm back. So I actually want to tell you about the program next week. I have invited, I believe, a very interesting speaker. It's going to be his first, but I hope not the last appearance in Newbridge. He is a former CIA officer. After 25 years serving in CIA. He joined Boston University, being one of the professors of Pardee School of Global Studies. And in January of 24, he was appointed as the director of BU Divisions of Military Education. I did not even know it existed. So he is knowledgeable in so many interesting stories about Boston, apparently. So his talk on Wednesday is going to be Spies and Terrorists of Boston. And I hope you find it intriguing and come and join me. Thank you.
Very much. Lynette Charles.
Thanks, Jerry. Hi, everyone. An area of focus for all departments and teams has been to streamline communications. And so we've been thinking about how to simplify the way that they look, how to focus on clear and consistent messaging, all while keeping the heart and spirit of Newbridge. And so one of many initiatives that we'll be launching next week is a daily newsletter that you will receive called Today at Newbridge. It'll be an email that'll go out every single day, consisting of day of reminders for programs, events, and any special announcements. So basically all you need to know. It'll be a very simple format that'll just list text of all the things that you need to know for that day. And we did test it out for text to speech. So if anyone uses the program, it is text to speech friendly. Does anyone have any questions?
It looks like a couple of them, Charlotte Chase and then Barbara Natives.
My question was Fernando.
Oh, okay.
Ask him. If last year I think I was able to do the printer ink to go to
Yes,
state.
I
I
can.
can
Printer
do
is
that?
absolutely fine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Barbara.
It was my senile mind. I forgot to add that the representative at large is also up for election. So if you're interested in being a rep at large, get your bio in. Sorry.
Okay, Marlene Yesley.
Lynette, do you know what time of day the newsletter will come out? It's very nice to know that the menu comes out at around 10 o'clock.
And so it'll be going out at 8 a.m. every single day. And I'm sure that Josh will also probably share this reminder, but the weekly specials are going to be sent on Fridays. And so they won't be sent out daily anymore.
Okay.
And so the daily reminder will only be specific to anything happening that day. There will still be a few other emails that you'll receive, likely just sharing cool events that are coming up. But we're really trying to limit it to 5 a day unless there's a really big need. And so that's a goal for us so that you don't receive, I think we counted up to 11 one day. And so we're really trying to, you save your inbox.
Thank you.
Thank you. Josh Ferraro.
Oh, thank you, Jerry. I'm actually going to let Eileen go first because I think she has one brief announcement, and then I just have a couple brief ones as well. Eileen, did you want to start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good to see you all today. First of all, I just want to remind everybody that this day next week, we will be having our wind down and we are going to see Dracula. So please bring your garlic or whatever you want to bring to protect yourselves. And also just to let you know, to get into the mood, Community Life are kindly hosting a movie on Tuesday night to get us into the mood. And it's Dracula again for the movie. So please come and see us directly after this next week down in Great Meadow Hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Eileen. And that flyer will be repeated again in the dining communications as a reminder that the wind down is next Thursday. So real quick, thanks again, Jerry, for the time. In this week's dining communication, you'll see a brief memo about plans for Thanksgiving. The menus will follow next week, but just to give the community the information ahead of time, for those of you that were here for last year for Thanksgiving, we really are not changing much. It will be kind of the same changes to the operation. But just to have it in front of you, what those changes are will be sent out again in tomorrow's dining communication. with menus to follow next week. It'll include when you can start making reservations, all the logistics about reserving, family and friends are welcome. So please refer to that memo. And of course, if you have any additional questions, you can reach out to myself, Eileen, or any member of the dining team leadership. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to try one of the items off the new central menu that was rolled out just this past Monday. I want to thank many people, but obviously members of the dining team that launched and got the staff trained and ready, the dining committee for their collaboration and tasting, and then some of the directors and others that helped with our training of our staff with mock service. One of the things that I do want to mention that this menu is not only new to our staff and cooks, but it is also new to the community and residents. So we are seeing a lot more questions coming up during service prior to ordering. So just keep that in mind. If service seems to be a little bit slower than it had been, the staff has communicated that they're getting a lot of great questions about the new menu, which is wonderful. In the past, when we first did the new central menu rollouts, we actually would limit how many reservations we would allow. We don't do that any longer, so we're just reminding you that service can be a little bit longer as the staff are answering all these questions. So I do thank you for that. Lynette mentioned the weekly specials. We actually started sending those out last Friday for Centro and Copper Beach. You had already been receiving the Nosh weekly specials on Fridays for the upcoming week. And this week we did send out the daily specials through the email in Constant Contact. But with these changes to how we communicate and in the effort to streamline, when you get the Friday weekly specials, whether you get it through paper in the dining communications or you use electronically on the dining website, that's where you will get the specials for the upcoming week. After this Saturday, those daily emails through Constant Contact will no longer be sent. And we are working on a glossary of terms for the central menu. Sometimes we use cooking terms and other terms, ingredients that may not be familiar to those that aren't in that culinary world. We started it for training for our staff members, but we will be uploading that on the dining website. So if there's a term that you're unfamiliar with on the central menu, you can go to the resources page on the dining website and you can look at the glossary of terms. The goal is to have that uploaded tomorrow. Again, Jerry, thank you for your time, and we're here for any questions, if there are any.
Any questions? Okay, Jessica Coleman.
Hi, Jerry. Thank you. What a full agenda today. I will be super quick. I have two things. First, I've been getting a lot of calls asking if we will be providing transportation on voting day. And I'm happy to say that our amazing transportation team is ready to transport people to the Dedham Town Hall. They will be transporting, as of right now, at 9 a.m., 11 a.m., and 1 p.m. So as time gets closer, we will send something out, but I just wanted to announce something here because I know it's been on the top of people's minds. So we will be having transportation that day. Secondly, I just wanted to remind everyone about our COVID-19 recommendations. Our security team sent out the guidelines, I believe, yesterday through Constant Contact. So hopefully a lot of you have looked at that and seen it. But really, I just want to focus in on the three most, to me, important and the three most that we need to be reminded of frequently, which number one is to stay home if you're not feeling well. Right now, there's COVID going around. Luckily, in our community, we only have 3 positive COVID cases, which is from all of you probably doing all the items on the guidelines and making sure that you are staying home if you're not feeling well. But there's also the flu going around, there's pneumonia, there's strep throat. So please, if you don't feel good, stay home, call security, they can test you. If you get tested and you are positive, please isolate in your apartment until you are negative or until the 11th day from when you are positive. If you are positive, please let security know so that we can make sure that we're checking in on you, testing you on day 5 if you'd like to be tested to see if you're negative, and just being our contact. And lastly, if you've been exposed to COVID-19, so that means you have been in close contact with someone for 15 minutes or longer without a mask, and that person has tested positive for COVID, we ask that you wear a mask in the community and that you get tested for COVID-19 5 days after your exposure. So again, you would be avoiding our dining rooms, and if you are out and about, you're masked and good hand hygiene. I know that was super fast, but I know we still have to get to Matt, but happy to take any questions.
Any questions? No? Okay, thank you, Jessica. And now, Matt, we're ready for you.
All right. Hello, everyone. I will keep it short and sweet so everybody can go on and do what they want to do. For starters, I want to acknowledge that sunset, it's Simchat Torah. And so I want to wish you all a good Yontif. And I hope it's been a great high holy days for all of you. Jess, thanks for talking about COVID-19. I can't stress that enough. We've seen a little uptick, hasn't been major. Again, probably because you're all handling it so appropriately. Please continue to do those things. Security is going to be hosting a drug take-back day on Saturday from 9:45 a.m. till 12:30 in the afternoon in Nosh. If you remember last year, they collected 103 pounds. So if you have drugs you want to get rid of, they're coordinating with the Dedham police, and they're going to be hosting the table down in Nosh to take back your old and unwanted prescriptions. Please feel free to come down and get rid of them. Next week, there's going to be some fire alarm testing happening. On Monday, it'll be in the healthcare center, but on Tuesday and Wednesday, it'll be in the 5,000 community building and the 5,000 community building residences. So if you hear panels going off and things like that, just a reminder, and it's in my letter tomorrow, it's fire alarm testing. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this. I told you I'd keep it short and sweet. Hallelujah, the cottage irrigation is fixed. They finally fixed it this morning. It was a cracked joint. They were able to get right to it and repair it. So in the springtime, we will have irrigation at the cottages. And thank you to all the cottage residents for your amazing patience. And so with that, I'll open it to questions myself.
Looks like we have none. So, is that, Barbara, you waving?
Jerry, I have a question. It's Linda.
Okay, go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, just on for Matt, we're in the middle of a drought, actually. We haven't had rain in a number of weeks. I'm wondering if there's any pressure on our water systems, or whether we ought to be a little bit more careful in how we use water in our apartments.
Linda, right now, we haven't received any word locally about the drought. And additionally, our cisterns, since we're not calling for irrigation right now, has been pretty limited. I think hopefully after the winter, we'll get some pretty good moisture content and be able to capture it. But I'll keep you posted if it changes. I'll let you know.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Jerry.
You're welcome.